What's up guys, my name is Ace, and you very often hear people talking about guns that they feel should be nerfed, and while I do agree that some guns could be maybe toned down in certain areas, a lot of people forget the guns that are on the lower end of the spectrum that could use a little bit of love. Today we're going to be focusing on my top 5 guns in Infinite Warfare that I feel could use a little bit of a buff. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so hopping right into it, I'm going to start it off with number 1, which is the HVR. Ever since the Trencher and more importantly the VPR came out, there's not really much reason at all to use the HVR. This gun has lost its place in the meta in my opinion, and the simple reason for that is before those new guns came, the HVR was the only SMG in the game that had a 3-shot kill range. It's not a crazy 3-shot kill range, but it did have that potential. Once the VPR came out, and I'll say once the VPR got balanced and then rebalanced again, that gun also has a 3-shot kill range, but it has a significantly faster fire rate. In addition to that, the VPR also has a longer 3-shot kill range than the HVR. There is literally no reason whatsoever to use the HVR over the VPR in its current state right now. So what I'd like to see done with the HVR, since it is supposed to be that higher damage, slower rate of fire SMG in the game, first off, get rid of its 19 damage range. What this will do is it'll make it so it's a maximum 5-shot kill SMG instead of 6 shots to kill at longer ranges. This would at least add a little bit more versatility to the HVR, so yes, right up close you can kind of dominate with it with that 3-shot kill potential, and then once you get to the longer ranges where you're kind of getting outside of the ranges of the other SMGs, you can at least still compete quite effectively with the HVR. In addition to this, I would also give a buff to the 3-shot kill potential. At least match the 3-shot kill potential of the VPR. It doesn't necessarily have to get too crazy or anything, but I feel it should at least match the 3-shot kill potential of the VPR, or if anything, reverse the 3-shot kill potential. So take the VPR's 3-shot kill potential and reduce it to the HVR level, and take the HVR 3-shot kill potential and take it to the current VPR 3-shot kill potential. I think that would be an excellent way to balance the HVR, and it would make it once again a viable choice. Moving on to number 2 on my list, this is the Decimate, or the DCM-8 shotgun. This shotgun really doesn't have much of a place in the game. If we compare it to the Reaver, which is its closest counterpart in the game, the Reaver is a semi-automatic shotgun with better damage, better range, and surprisingly enough, better rate of fire as well compared to the Decimate. The only thing the Decimate has over the Reaver is the fact that you can hold down the trigger instead of just slowly tapping it to maintain the maximum fire rate. At 109 rounds per minute with the Reaver, anybody can easily maintain that maximum fire rate just by slowly tapping the trigger. So really that slight benefit in being able to just hold down the trigger with the Decimate doesn't make up for the fact that it is just terrible in comparison to the Reaver. So what I would do with the Decimate to make it a viable choice compared to the Reaver is practically double its fire rate. It needs a significant increase to its fire rate. Of course, I feel they should adjust damages and ranges accordingly. First off, I would make sure the Decimate no longer has a 1-shot kill range, because as it is right now, point blank, the Decimate can 1-shot. I would completely remove that. There's no need for a full auto shotgun to have a 1-shot kill potential, but the fire rate should be very noticeably better than the semi-automatic shotgun, which is the Reaver. Getting into number 3 on my list, this is the Mauler. Now the Mauler is a tricky one. It's kind of difficult to figure out what you should do to the Mauler to make it better without making it suddenly overpowered. Within the LMG category, the Mauler is designed to be that more closer range, high fire rate LMG. And if you're just looking within the LMG category, it does have a place, it does make sense. The Titan and the Raw, those both excel at those mid to longer ranges, whereas the Mauler excels more close range against those guns. The problem comes when you start factoring that in against SMGs and assault rifles, which are the more commonly used classes of weapon. The Mauler simply doesn't keep up to most SMGs and assault rifles within the ranges where it's supposed to excel, which is within its 20-meter 4-shot kill range. You can definitely get by with the Mauler, but it doesn't excel anywhere. So in my mind, just a slight change that I would make to the Mauler, just to make it slightly more viable, is reduce the recoil a little bit. The Mauler's recoil can jump around side to side a little, and it's a little bit on the random side as well, so if they were to tighten that up a little bit, I would say the Mauler would have a slightly better place within the game. Anything more to this, I think would be very dangerous as far as potentially turning this thing into an overpowered weapon, just because it does have a great magazine capacity, and it does have a decent rate of fire for its damage. It's just not enough to really give it an area that it's really good at. Moving on to number 4 on my list, this is the EBR sniper rifle. In sniper mode with the EBR, you get significantly worse multipliers compared to the KBS longbow. And the thing is, even though it's a semi-auto gun, with the way that the recoil works, there's really no reason to even have it being a semi-auto gun, because by the time you get your follow-up shot, you could have already rechambered your KBS longbow. So in my mind, for the EBR in sniper mode, I think they should do a little bit to the recoil. Either reduce the maximum magnitude of your recoil, or increase the center speed a little bit. Now, I don't think you should be able to spam the EBR at your target because it does have a decent enough one-shot kill potential, especially after getting the Sing Diamond. It was actually a lot better than I initially thought, but I still feel you should be able to get a follow-up shot a little bit faster than you currently do with the EBR, and the way to do that is to reduce the recoil in some way. I think a center speed increase would be the way to go, so it still kicks up quite a bit, but it comes down a lot faster, just so that you do have that opportunity for a follow-up shot sometimes at least, because as it is right now, getting that follow-up shot is nearly impossible. In addition to this, with the assault rifle mode of the EBR, I would just make it so quick draw has a slightly better effect on your aim down sight time. I realize they don't want to make it so it's a really strong assault rifle as well as a really strong sniper rifle, because that would be really scary to have for one single gun. But as it is right now, the aim down sight time in the assault rifle mode of the EBR just doesn't compete with other assault rifles in the game, and oftentimes you're dead before you can even get fully aim down sight, even if you have quick draw equipped. So I would like to see just a slight increase to your aim down sight speed when you have quick draw on the EBR in assault rifle mode. Nothing too crazy, just enough to make it slightly more viable against other assault rifles. And finally on my list for number 5, we've got the R3K. Now again, this is something where I don't want them to do too much to the R3K, I actually barely want them to touch it. But the one thing I would like to see with the R3K is better idle sway characteristics. As it is right now, when you aim down sight with the R3K, your sights start bouncing around pretty much immediately. Very shortly after aiming down sight, they start bouncing around. The R3K is a burst gun and is designed to be a precision type weapon. It's really hard to be precise when your sights are bouncing all over the place. Especially when you look at the fact that a lot of the full auto assault rifles don't have this same sway. So they actually gain an advantage where the R3K should be getting its advantage. As a burst weapon with a decently long burst delay, there isn't much room to be missing your bursts with the R3K, and having these not so great idle sway characteristics doesn't help your case at all. I think in core modes at least, the R3K is just completely outclassed and there's not much reason to use it. There should be a burst gun out there that is precise enough to take out those NV4 users at longer ranges, but as it is right now, the R3K just doesn't compete, and I would say a lot of that just comes down to the fact that it has terrible idle sway characteristics. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's list of the guns that I feel could use a little bit of a buff in Infinite Warfare. I'd like to know in the comments section below. First off, are there any other guns that you feel could be buffed or should be buffed in Infinite Warfare? Keeping in mind, we're only focusing on guns that should be buffed. I know a lot of people like to focus on nerfs. This is just about buffs, so don't tell me nerf the NV4 down below. Tell me something to buff that I missed. And also, do you disagree with any of the ones that are on my list? Do you feel they don't need any buffs and I was off base on that? If so, please let me know down below. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.